Welcome, one and all, to the Retro Podcast. Guys, old guys in their 50s and 60s, two old guys in their 50s and 60s, talking about the 70s and 80s. Hey, I forgot to send Russ. Hang on a second. Let me send Russ the link. I told him to see if he wanted to join us.
Then that'd be three old guys.
It'd be three old guys. See if he wants to pop in. Anyway, yeah, and two old guys in their 50s and 60s talking about the 70s and 80s. And welcome to our nostalgic channel. We'll wait for a couple of people to populate this wonderful world. And today we're going to be talking about movie magic, pretty much. Movie theaters, going to the movies, movie theaters, basically everything we can remember from going to the movies in our youth and how it's different from going to the movies now. I mean, many things haven't changed, but many things have. 1890. Let's begin with 1890 here. I just popped up a little thing here.
I thought we were doing the 70s and 80s.
We are doing the 70s and 80s. Let me lead up to it. Yeah. 1890s, we had magic lantern shows, where you had those moving pictures on the magic lanterns, and those were little portable kind of things. And then Edison had the Vitascope in 1896, and then Nickelodeons came around, not the kids show, but the actual Nickelodeon, and then pretty much in 1910 or so, around that time, projectors and all that stuff, they consider it the death of vaudeville. I mean, vaudeville was still around after that, but I mean, back in the days, well before any of us were born, vaudeville basically started converting the theater owners converted their vaudeville theaters to projection type theaters. And then in the 1920s, we're talking silent movies with an actual piano player and an organ player in the theater.
Charlie Chaplin comes to mind for some reason.
Yeah, Charlie Chaplin, and I mean even Laurel and Hardy in their silent days.
The Keystone Cops.
Keystone Cops. Charlie Chaplin. What's the Lloyd? Harry Lloyd. Harold
Christopher Lloyd?
No.
Wait, he's old, but he ain't that old.
His grandfather, Harold. Anyway, and then 1925, they had movie palaces. About 1925, that's when popcorn started coming into the theater.
Yeah, popcorn. Love my popcorn.
And then 27 folks. In 1927 comes sound. Sound comes to the theater. And that's a beautiful thing. And then of course, the movie theater chair comes in. Oh, look, Dave said, welcome, Dave. Dave said Buster Keaton. Yep, Buster Keaton.
Hello, Dave Hart.
1931, we had the movie theater chair, because before they were just benches and stuff. Now they're not nice and comfortable theaters. Concessions would come in the 30s as well. Then in 1937, we're talking color. Color came to with and it was Walt Disney with the first full-length feature color movie. And guess what happened in 1940? 1940, surround sound.
Ooh.
Surround sound with again Disney Fantasia. That was and then they talk about different things, like you talk about drive-ins, and we'll be talking about our drive-ins, but drive-ins in the 60s, 50s and 60s, multiplexes, we'll talk about them as well. Like I said, widescreen came out widescreen later came out in 67, according to this. So surround sound was in the 40s and widescreen in 67. CinemaScope, remember CinemaScope?
Yes, yes.
That was 54.
Was the Wizard of Oz colorized or not colorized at the beginning? Because in '39 is when the Wizard of Oz came out.
It was colorized. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. That's a good question. Good evening, Mitchell. Good to see you.
Hello, Mitchell.
But yeah, and then for a short time, Smell-O-Vision came out, which was just a complete, waste. Aromascope, they called it. But and that brings us pretty much to today, to the 70s and 80s. So there's our super brief history of the theater. Now, let me ask you this, Al.
Yes. Ask me this.
What movie do you remember either standing in line for or some particular strong memory of you when you were a kid?
I know we talked about various different movies, but the standing in line one that stands out in my mind is Ferris Bueller's Day Off. And I don't remember exactly when it was.
Really? That was later.
But I remember standing in line for that one. Yeah. Yeah. But the one that most did I stand in line for movies?
86. By the way, that was an 86 film.
86, huh? Yeah. The one that has the most impact, and I know it's standing in line, was the Blues Brothers. And I know, I'm a Trekkie, and we can talk about some Star Trek stuff too. But the one that stands out in my mind the most is the Blues Brothers, because I was in the Air Force at that time around the 70s, and it was 80s maybe, but 70s, 79, 80s, somewhere in there, close enough. 70s and 80s. We're talking 70s and 80s.
70s and 80s.
So I was stationed at Rantoul, Illinois, at Chanute Air Force Base, and I would travel back and forth usually in the car, maybe sometimes in the bus. But this one time, I traveled back to Chicago from Rantoul on the bus. And when I got out of the bus station, and the bus station was like Graham Central Station, big old huge bus station. Yeah. I walked out of the station, and I don't remember if it was the train station or the bus station at that point.
What city was this?
Chicago.
In Chicago.
It was in Chicago. Excuse me, Chicago. Okay. And when I walked out, in front of me was the Daily Center with the big old Picasso in front of it. And I kid you not, there was 200 squad cars in front of the Daily Plaza or the Daily Center. I can't remember what it's called now, because that was a long time ago. But anyway, there was 200 City of Chicago Police Department squad cars lined up, one right after there, maybe 4 or 5 wide, maybe 100 of them. And that's what sticks in my mind. I walked out onto the set, basically, not
so onto. You basically, so you were present for the filming of Blues Brothers, in Chicago while they were storming the building. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. For me, it was. Well, there's a few memories I have. One of which, obviously, it's Star Wars. I remember specifically. It's just so many strong memories from that time. For instance, Superman, the first Superman movie. I'll never forget. 30th straight week at the Westchester Theater. This Westchester Theater here in Miami was I mean, it was a double theater, like most of them were. Most of them were doubles. Sometimes, well, I'll give you a few stories of conversions of theaters, but but the marquee, and by the way, the marquees of the old days, it's not like now where everything's all digital and everything. It's the old fashioned hang those stupid plastic letters kind of thing, that you saw everywhere.
Yep. Yeah, with
the backlit with the long stick and everything. Yeah, and then so 30th straight week. And I was talking to you earlier about this. It's unimaginable for a movie to go 30 weeks now. Forget, let alone 6 or 7. I mean, they'll be in DVD before they hit that.
And that's marketing.
Back then, and then M. Chav was talking about Jaws, and Jaws was another one. That Jaws, In fact, that marquee at Westchester for Superman, for Jaws, and for Star Wars, it did not show two movies because it was showing the same movie in both places, and it just showed Jaws. It just showed Superman. It just showed Star Wars. That's it. I mean, that was the only thing on the marquee on both sides. And it was absolutely amazing. I'll never forget it. I got a buddy of mine, Ray Morris. Ray worked, he was 1 year older than me, just 1 year older than me. And he worked he worked at the counter at Westchester, and I thought, oh my God, that's the most amazing thing in the world. And I thought he was like an adult. I was like 12 years old, or no, I couldn't have been 12 because that would have put him at 13. I must have been 15 or whatever. But we had a back entrance, so many vivid memories just from that one local theater. And I'll tell you, it's gone. I mean, it's long. It's a Ross now. Right now, it's a Ross, and I think the Ross closed. I mean, it's amazing. So many theaters of my youth, like bowling alleys, if we want to go into a segue, so many theaters of my youth just closed. And let me ask you this, because that's leading to talking about multiplexes. We had, I'll never forget, because kids today, again, everybody under 40, kids today,
under 40,
they don't know what it was like to have all and only double twin theaters. That's
right.
it. That's it.
And
Maybe sometimes
awesome.
you had a single theater, but most of the time it was a twin theater. It had two movies showing and no more. If you're lucky. And I remember when the Dadeland twin, which I saw Empire Strikes Back in, and Rocky, both those movies I saw at that theater. I remember when they became the Dadeland triple. They added on to the theater. And then I also remember when another one of the theaters that in Coral Gables, and this was a sacrilege. They turned a theater from a double theater, beautiful, comfortable, huge seats, into a quadruplex. Tiny screens. It was so sad. Later it just died and became a playhouse, which I like the playhouse. I like the playhouse is great, but double theaters. I remember getting caught by the cops for necking on in the in the parking lot of the Coral Gables, the Plitt Theater.
Do kids today even know what necking is? I think they call it making out.
Making out is what I was going to say also, but yeah, necking, necking, not naked, necking.
Right.
But necking. But I'll tell you, those were the days. Those were the days. Oh yeah, flashlight and everything. Knocked on the door. Good evening, officer. Just embarrassed as you can. You guys just move. I mean, well, you kids just move along now.
And they probably knew your parents too.
No. Miami, big city. So
okay.
Thank God for that. But but I'll tell you, I mean, the theaters, the memories, that Plitt Theater, which was the Gables twin. Then later it became the Plitt Gables twin, and then it became the Plitt Gables triple. Right now, there's a huge building on it, and it's a Bally's. Well, they don't call it Bally's anymore. It's what's the new fitness center? LA Fitness, whatever. Whoever, they all take over.
I wouldn't know.
Anyway, yeah, neither would I. Well, anyway, obvious. So that theater, I remember vividly seeing Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs in that theater. And it was, yes, like all those theaters back then, double feature, folks. Double feature. I mean, there's another beautiful thing to remember. How many of you guys remember double features? Yeah. And always with Disney, they had not with Disney, but with a lot of the different movies, they had it wasn't like today where they have advertisement after advertisement after no. they started the show with the candies dancing. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. Popcorn and the candy sure all taste real dandy. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat. There you go. Have your popcorn. As I sing again on the another jovial song, but after the dancing popcorn and the dancing candies, Raisinets and goobers.
And one thing they didn't say,
goobers and Raisinets.
One thing they never said is mute your cell phones.
Oh no, forget about that.
There you go.
No, and then so after that came usually a Bugs Bunny cartoon, some sort of Looney Tunes cartoon. And that was, and then came the feature. Actually, the B film, then another Bugs Bunny cartoon, and then the feature film, and now our feature presentation, and then my favorite out of all of the songs, because now you got the roller coaster with the film and this and that, those advertising Regal or whatever brand. Back then, GCC, General Cinema Corporation, had that movie projector with the clicking, and it goes da na 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 da 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 na 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 da. That was probably the most entertaining part for me prior to the film. That was probably as entertaining as the CBS special presentation that goes with the that rainbow of a special presentation that would swirl just before a Snoopy's cartoon when we were young. Those kind of memories, those are the ones that really strike hard. Let's see, what do we got? Let's take a look at the chat here. What they're saying? Sneaking in, MChav. Yeah, I'll never forget. We used to have. There were times where you'd go there, you pay for one movie. This is when the Cineplex or with the multiplexes, whatever, started, when there were 6 and 8 movies. We would pay for the one movie, but in the early days, you were allowed to. You'd pay for one movie and you go from movie to movie to movie. Basically, it was in the early days, when you're in the theater, you're in the theater. It doesn't matter which movie. But then later they started ticketing for an actual movie. But oh man, I remember those days were fantastic. We would go to the theater, we knew when the next movie started, and we knew when the guy was just going to leave, the guy guarding the front, and then we just sneak right from one to another. And then of course with like MChav, every now and then, I'll admit it, we did the old not too often. I think I remember maybe doing it once or twice. You get one guy to pay. We all chip in. We get one guy in, and then he opens the exit door, and everybody
floods in,
comes in right into the theater. Because we all knew where the exit door was. But now
you do that,
but like I was telling you earlier, goes off. But like I was telling you earlier, and MChav again said we would just hang out there. And that's exactly it. That was the hangout spot.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
it was.
Back then, you could get caught because they had the usher. They had the usher with the always in the back with the flashlight. You had the projectionist, which was always watching the theater. You had the ticket taker in the front. You had the people on the concessions. You had the money taker in the teller in the front. It was always, and you had people cleaning up the theater. It was loaded with people. Now, are you kidding? There's a Regal by my house. It's an 18 Theater Regal. They've got one guy taking money in his little cage in the front, the tickets. And most of the time, he's not even doing that because he's inside unless somebody rings a bell because everybody buys tickets online. There's a ticket taker. There is a concession guy, just one guy serving popcorn, hot dogs, and whatever. Obviously not on a busy night, but during the day. One guy handling all of the food. And he's usually the one that goes out and takes the tickets. Or he'll tell you, hey, come over here, and he'll rip the ticket in half from the concession. And you walk right in, and nobody else is in the whole theater. Nobody. And the thing's automated. I mean, they've got the theater run with 3 people these days. It's a completely different experience. But we used to love hanging out. How about you? You hung out with all your friends? Because, I mean, it was either a movie with friends, hanging out at a friend's house, which became boring after a while, or a dance. That's it. It's not like today where I mean, we didn't have video games. You know, we didn't have YouTube. We didn't have, nothing. Soda shop, there's a good one. We had soda shops. Yeah, and we would go every now and then. We'd hang out that was, for me, it was Lums and stuff like that. But but the theater was it. The theater, I spent so many thousands of dollars on the theater.
At the movies. Yeah.
At the movies. Roller rink. There you go, Dave. Dave hit the nail on the head. I completely forgot about that. That was it. That was another one. We had 5 roller rinks. Oh, and bowling alleys too. But roller rinks. We would hang out at the roller at the skating rink. Yep, absolutely. Oh man, those were days. Yep. And dance clubs were when we were older, but as teenagers, and we weren't allowed in the dance clubs, it would basically be the movies.
You said hang out with friends.
Yeah.
I would usually go with 1 or 2, but it wasn't a big swarm of people going in. It was usually just 1 or 2. We'd kind of go to see a movie, but we didn't do it all the time. But
yeah,
certainly loved it. It was like, I mean, we didn't have anything but 3 or 4 channels of TV, right, on at TV, and we probably watched it anyway. So the movie was like that refreshing little adventure to go.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was something else. It was just a place to get away. I always loved the hot dogs, loved the popcorn. And later in the 80s, I loved the nacho. I remember when nachos first came into theaters.
I love the popcorn too.
Because popcorn. Okay, so now you remember the old popcorn because they have nowadays it's most of the popcorn makers are still the same, but they had some of those old popcorns. Oh, the video games. Aussie man just brought that up. There's a good one. Let me see. We had video games as a kid. We would throw ping pong balls at the people on the TV. He just reminded me. A lot of the theaters, and that was another good thing that we used to do. We had. I'll never forget. We had a theater. In fact, Eloy, around closer to Eloy's place than mine, but we had a theater over there. It was called Midway Mall. Now it's Mall of the Americas. Whatever. We had a theater in Midway Mall, and I saw Star Trek Generations in that theater. Oddly enough, before they closed, next door to that theater, they had a video arcade, and that was another great hangout place. Is a video arcade. I love your green cup. You're drinking. You got a hole in your head now because of the green screen. I'm telling you.
I just realized. Leave it to them, Chav, to notice.
Yeah. But those were some good times, folks. Those were some good times. I mean, think about it. let me see. I'm trying to recall. I recall. Oh, I'll never forget. One of the things I do remember vividly. And maybe this is just me, but I remember most of the time the theater was $1 to $1.50.
Oh yeah.
They raised the price to $2 when Star Wars came out. They raised the price to $3 when Star Wars Empire Strike Back came out.
Dum,
When
dum, dum, dum,
when
dum,
Return of the Jedi came out, it was $4. That's one thing I always remembered is they always raised the price whenever a Star Wars film came out.
All those production costs, they had to get them back somehow.
It was incredible. I don't know why, I don't know how, but they just did.
How much is the movie now?
Oh my God, it's something ridiculous. I haven't been to the movies in so long because of that reason. Because look, you can go to the movies and spend. First of all, it costs about $18 if you don't have a student discount. And I think, I'll tell you right now the price. Let's see, price for movies.
Do they give instructor discounts?
Look at this. Adults are it's $14. No, wait, 14. That's AMC ticket prices. Yeah, that's too small. Let me see what.
Too small.
Oh yeah, I guess it is. It's like $12. Yeah, because they say $9.26 or $13.69, but yeah, that's without tax. It's $15 is what it is for adults.
The point you were going to make was by the time you get out of there, that $14
multiplies.
Yeah. Okay, a couple of people, but look at one person, just one person. You go in, you got popcorn. Well, you got to have a drink with the popcorn, right?
Popcorn is $6. A drink is $5.
Yeah.
It's $11. You've just doubled your price for 2 items. Now you go and you buy a bunch of.
And got to get some goobers. Got to get some goobers.
Got to get some goobers or bunch of.
Yeah.
There's another $2.50.
No, $5 for a box of goobers.
No. I mean, they're out of their minds.
Yeah.
You go out. A family of 4, and I am a family of 4. We used to go there, $60, and that's eating beforehand.
Yeah.
$60.
And one thing they do now is you can also eat there. They will feed you. We have these
CineBeast. I was just going to mention that right now.
And they'll bring the food out to you. You know,
best deal, best movie theater. And now I don't go anywhere else. I don't go to the movies that often. I'll go maybe once every 3 or 4 years. But when I do go, I only go to CineBistros or something similar. You got to fly in your. So a CineBistro, it's $25 admission. So yeah, the ticket is more, and the food is expensive, but the food is delicious. They're the most comfortable, huge recliners.
Yes, that's
a sliding table. You sit back like you're in your couch at home, and it's nice and big. And the beautiful thing is, when you go with another couple, and my wife and I go with another couple, we have a great time. We watch the theater. We're full. It's basically dinner and a movie.
It is.
You're gonna end up spending. I end up spending basically somewhere in the neighborhood of $70 or $80. But you know what? I would have spent that anyway with movies and then dinner afterwards. Because dinner for the two of us, just the two of us alone, a nice dinner is $50. And you got the movies, which is another $30. There's your $80 right there. You can knock it all off in one blow.
Yeah, and that's something that really is today. It was not back then. I mean, back then you just had the basic, popcorn and candy, and here's a drink, and that's it. I mean, so actually they've improved that.
Yep. Yep. And then
they even have liquor. They have beer at the Synergy, which is what we have here.
Ah, nice. Beer. The last
Bloody Marys. You want Bloody Marys, you can get those too.
Oh yeah, they have that at the CineBistro. They got a bar there too. Yeah, you can order stuff. The last movie that Dave Hart went to see in the theater was Fatal Attraction. Too expensive.
Oh boy,
VHS tapes killed me going. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, nowadays you download everything. In fact, I don't even. Hey, a movie came out. Look, I guess it's not like when you're little. I don't know about you, Al, but when I was younger,
I was
uh,
younger at one time.
when I was younger, there were things that I had to see immediately, and it was
Yeah,
because, but it also in addition to that, there weren't that many things out.
yeah,
Uh,
and you couldn't watch it at home either. You had to go
you couldn't
watch it.
watch it. You had
Yeah,
to watch it. So you had to. Okay, and it wouldn't be out. Forget VHS tapes. We didn't
right,
have VHS tapes at that.
right.
Now, like Dave mentioned, VHS tapes came out. Now VHS, you got VHS, you got downloadable movies, you got DVDs, you got the works. Nowadays, if a movie comes out that I'm dying to, a new Star Wars movie comes out, I don't know about you, but I've reached an age where I've got all the patience in the world. New Star Wars movie or Marvel movie comes out tomorrow. Okay, you guys go and spend your thousands of dollars to see it. I'll wait when it comes out free on Netflix or whatever. Yeah, it'll be 6 months time, but you know what? I can wait 6 months.
Yeah.
And all my movies are well, I can't say free because Netflix is a subscription and Hulu and whatnot,
I
but or
binge all the
Disney
time.
Plus or whatever, but it's just completely different. It's completely different.
Yeah, and along that same line, like what I just said, I binge all the time. I couldn't do that back then. Now I do. I'll watch whole series of stuff.
Yep.
It's a totally different. So I don't have that need to go.
And the worst part about it is it's like when you have limited numbers of movies coming out.
True.
And you see them. They are so powerful. They are so, I mean, Dune. Everybody remembers Dune, whoever's seen it. Everybody remembers Star Wars. If you're a Star Trek fan, Star Trek, Jaws, all those big ones. So, however, nowadays, I mean, 27 Marvel movies. Granted, I've seen them over and over and over, and all the Harry Potters and stuff, but those are the exceptions. Those are fantastic movies that are exceptions. There are so many different movies out. I could name 100 movies that I like, and it wouldn't even scratch the surface of all the movies available out there now. It's as if, I don't know if it's because I've experienced so much in my life or there's so much more to experience now that the quality is just down to the bottom.
Now, there is something that Aussie Man did point out is you go to a theater because you want to experience and feel the movie. And I have to give him that much. Yes,
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
is the one thing. And even with today's technology, you could probably set up a home entertainment theater with 5-1, 7-1.
I was going to say,
and experience the same thing.
I had. Let's see, it was it's when I had the Laserdisc of Star Wars in I think it was Dolby 5.1 or whatever it was, and when I first moved into this house in '99 or 2000 or so, in the early 2000s, I played my Laserdisc with full surround sound and I had a 65-inch screen. I got to tell you, it came pretty darn close. Yeah, not the same as being in a huge theater, but the sound immersion was the same. I didn't have a bunch of people, but at my age, I don't want to be around a bunch of people, strangers.
And forget the COVID thing. I mean, that's
forgetting the COVID thing, right?
Yeah.
But,
I think it's. I don't know. I don't want to be out there. There's so much more to see. Aussie Man mentioned like The Mandalorian, and I think what he was getting at was binge watching The Mandalorian. I started doing it and kind of got distracted.
Same as me.
Binge watching. What I'm binge watching is Stargate. I mean, Stargate. Something from what, 15, 20 years ago.
I love it. I do it all the time.
There's so much stuff out there that I haven't ever been able to experience that I'm so fanatic.
I guess we are so nostalgic that that, I mean, I will look when I'm up at the property. I don't have I mean, I bring some movies with me. I bring a whole 2 terabytes of movies just in case I feel like watching something like Harry Potter or Pitch Perfect, which I watch over and over and over. But, but, and I have all the series, all the Star Trek and all that. But H&I, one of the free channels, over the air channels. I don't have an antenna here at home. It's all stream. And I don't have cable or anything. There's no point. There's way too much to see on YouTube. So, but over there, I have very poor signal, which is why I don't do the show when I'm up there. But I got an antenna on the camper, and they've got H&I has got all the Star Treks in a row, and I'm not a huge fan of Enterprise. I've
watched it.
I've watched it. I've seen it a few times. I could take it or leave it. But the rest, I will still watch them. I'll go through boom, 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 boom. And now I'm rewatching Battlestar Galactica. And I wasn't a big fan the first time, but I'm beginning to get
the original.
The original's fantastic.
Okay, the second one. See, the second one, I wasn't that much into it. Maybe I'll rewatch it at some point.
And the second one, and not to get out too much off on our usual segue of as we're on movies, but one thing that SGU Stargate Universe, I have not seen that more than once, because they were basically, I mean, you know what killed it? They were trying to imitate Battlestar Galactica in the cinematography and all that. Killed it completely. I mean, I never liked it from the start because of that. The premise is great. It's like kind of like Voyager. You know, you got a guy out there. You know, you got a spaceship out there, can't get home. Yada yada yada. But oh my God, the cinematography, the dark, the no. That's not for me. That's not for Stargate. Stargate is another one that I watch on a regular basis. But in this day and age, there is, getting back to what I was saying about the theaters. There are just so many movies now that the quality isn't there. I mean, not the quality of the movies is there, but when you have that much quantity and you can't choose, binge watching, perfect example, exactly what you said about Mandalorian. I've watched the first season of Mandalorian. I binge watched it after it was all, you know, after the last episode aired. I binged watched the first season. Second season is completely out. I've yet to start it.
Same
I've
for
yet
me.
To start. Just recently, you know what I did last night? I binged watched because I saw it on one of the talk shows. I saw one of the guys from Jupiter's Legacy. Okay, there's this new on Netflix. It's a show, Jupiter's Legacy. It's about superheroes, so I thought I'd like it. Oh my God! If you saw me clicking, blip, 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 I skipped over half. Part of it deals with drugs. Part of it deals with, it's just so freaking slow. I mean, I watched the whole series. I binge watched it in 4 hours. I mean, 3 hours maybe. But this is like 10 episodes or whatever, many episodes. And I binged watch it in 2 or 3 hours because
you flipped through it. Yeah.
Because I flipped through it and I got the whole gist of it. And I think I might be getting into it, but the thing was, oh my God, I would have shut it off if it was just for the first episode, because you know, it's so damn slow, you know, and that's another thing that I have to say. We, as a culture, I don't care how old we are. I mean, we enjoy. Don't try to get your kids to watch one of your old shows. Dad, this is boring. You know, they can't sit
20 years.
They can't sit exactly. Give them 20 years. They cannot sit, as teenagers, they cannot sit through any of that. Click, 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 click. I mean, it's for if it's not a 5-minute video on YouTube, they won't watch it. And even those they fast forward. But we've gotten just as bad. we've gotten just as bad. I mean, almost just as bad. All the new shows, I don't want to watch it. I'll sit and have Stargate or something on with no commercials as background noise. I do my work watching my MASH, all my MASH series. I have it here on the computer. All 11 years, I skip over the McLean Stevenson years because it got when Frank Burns left. That's when it was really interesting. That's when it was fun. No offense to Frank Burns, but I like Winchester better.
So did you ask what the last movie was that we saw?
What is the last movie?
I guess
you saw.
It was Ready Player One.
Wow.
Ready Player One.
Wow.
I'm almost certain. At least that's the one that I remember.
See, that one I saw on TV. I mean, on here.
Ready Player One. And I went to see Ready Player One at the big screen for the effect. And actually talk about nostalgia. Oh my goodness. I read the movie and watched it, and I was there during that whole era. All that stuff.
Fantastic.
Yeah. If you're any type of video gamer, if you're any type of nostalgic,
not even video gamer. I mean, Tab, DeLorean. I don't care, whatever you are.
Guess what? I'm reading Ready Player Two.
You told me,
and it's gonna come out.
You told me. Did you read Ready Player One though?
Yes,
sir. Read it. Okay,
so,
perfect.
Well, I audibly read it.
Okay, well, audible's fine. Yeah,
because I multitask a lot.
It is completely different from the movie.
Yeah,
completely different. But the incredible. In fact, some of those things. I just finished reading Armada. Armada is a new book by, well, not that new, but it's a book by Ernest Cline, the guy that wrote Ready Player One and Ready Player Two.
I had that written down and I forgot why I did.
Right. I liked it. It was good. It was pretty cool. Nothing out of this world, but it was a good book. I liked it. Very good book. And it kept me enthralled. Anyway, Ready Player One, Ready Player Two, the last movie I saw, you're going to love this. My Big Fat Greek Wedding 2.
Hey.
I don't know when that came out, but that's the last one that I saw in theaters. That or The Internship. In fact, in the last 10 years, I think those are the only two movies I've seen. Hang on, let me see if...
2006 or 2016. Sorry.
2016 is My Big Fat Greek Wedding?
Yes, 2.
Okay. Then that's it. And Internship was what year?
That one I don't have keyed up.
Let me see. Internship.
We talked about this.
Here we go. 2013. Okay, so 3 years prior, that was the movie that I saw. There was another one. I don't remember what it was, but there was another one in that thing. But yeah, that was it. It's I can't tell you. I know exactly where I saw it. I saw it right here because
I got to a point where I started to when I
saw Percy Jackson also. I don't know if that one's more recent. The second Percy Jackson. Hang on.
See, when you said that, I thought Percival, which is Ender's Game. I mean, not Ender's Game. That's another one. That's another one that I saw.
2010 and 2013. See, I saw both of those.
I got to reading books and then going and seeing the movies and a slew of them. And again, we're talking about movie going. Yeah, we're kind of going a little bit past the 70s and 80s, but the Hunger Games, that series,
yes,
and Ender's Game. Ender's Game was pretty awesome too. And Ender's Game actually was a 1985 book.
Yeah,
I believe.
I don't think I ever got through the movie, but I got through the book. That's the funny part of Ender's Game.
They were not the same. I mean, there were similarities,
completely
but there
different. Let me tell you. Out of all the movies, this here's a funny story about movies. I went to go see the first Percy Jackson, Lightning Thief, with my cousin. Now, both of us have read the book, all right, of Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, and then we saw the movie. Now, I'm an easygoing guy. I know that the movie's not going to always be the same. It's not going to be like J.K. Rowling in the where the movies are nearly identical to the book, which is fantastic. But sometimes they aren't. This was so freaking different.
Mm-hmm.
But I sat there and I enjoyed a different version. Like Ready Player One. Ready Player One was a different version of the book. I still enjoyed it. It was fantastic. So. In fact, the two reasons I enjoyed it, not to get off too much on a segue, but two reasons I enjoyed Ready Player One was, number one, because of, Spielberg and all the call outs for the 70s, 60s, the 70s and 80s nostalgia. I still watch that once a month, freezing to see if I could. Oh, look, this is from this game. This is from Halo. This is from this. Really? You have to.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know the mob of people that come in there, and you got.
Yes.
The fact that he built an Iron Giant. Yeah, we've all seen, or most of us have seen Iron Giant, the movie. That's fantastic. Yep. It was like, but it's not just Iron Giant. There's a tab in his suite. There's a can of tab.
Can of tab, yeah.
This is a movie from 2000. They haven't had. I don't even know if they don't make tab
anymore. They make tab. I'll look.
Anyway, so getting back to this, I was sitting in the theater watching Percy Jackson with my cousin, who's 3 years my elder or whatever. You should have seen him. It's like, oh my God. Oh, I can't believe this. Oh, it was like he was the guy you don't want to be in the theater with. Next, I don't know him. Because the whole entire movie was, oh, how could they do that? Oh my God, he complained about the entire movie. And here's the truly, truly funny part. I went home. My daughter, my youngest, who's read the book, also, we decided to go watch it together. She said, "Yeah, I'll go with you watch it." She was too young to go to movies by herself. So hey, I'll watch it again. And I went to go see Percy Jackson again with her. Almost verbatim the same. I can't, but this is not the way it happened. And I go, man. And then my cousin is Israel. He's up in central, in Howie in Florida, and obviously my daughter's down here. But if I would have gotten them two together to watch that film, that would have been. I would have just been sitting in the row behind them, just enjoying them more than the movie, because it was just so funny, and so, almost word for word their complaints. It was so funny. But yeah, let's see here.
I'm looking for flies.
Oh yeah, see if you can grab that fly. Good evening, Michael. Good to see you, Batman. And let's see. In the mid 80s, in Exton, Pennsylvania, got to be at the making of the band the Hooters video and the song "And We Danced," the Exton Drive-In Theater. It's now a shopping center with a Kohl's.
With a Kohl's, of course.
and with that, we'll segue over to drive-in theaters.
Oh yeah.
Now, I am young enough. I am old enough that I have attended on a few occasions a good old drive-in theater, and yes, talk about M. Chav was talking about kids sneaking into the movies.
In
Yes,
the trunk.
I would fit 4 guys in the trunk. That would be me and a buddy, and then we'd pay for 2 tickets. We'd go in, everybody jam into the and I had a 76 Monte Carlo. It had a huge trunk. So
they would come in through the back seat. We would pop the back seat out, and they'd come in through the back seat.
You're lucky. We didn't have the back seat to fun. They have to wait for me to open the. Well, there was a way for them to unlock it, and stuff. But and
Him Chav's done that too.
And for those of you, yeah, they're worthless up there in Alaska. Drive-in theaters. Yeah, I would say so most of the year. I would say. I'll never forget those speakers.
Right.
The last few years, and this was the technology advancement.
Oh yeah.
The last few years, they broadcast it on the FM station.
Yes.
So we tuned to an FM or an AM station. Boom, they'd broadcast it, and that was fantastic because you just play it from your radio. But I got to tell you, let me see some more things to remember about drive-ins. How many of you guys have stayed at a drive-in long enough to see always 4 or 5 cars with dead batteries? Almost every showing there was. I don't know, maybe it's just Miami, but there was almost every showing. Half the car batteries needed to jump. Well, not half, but
we have a Big Sky drive-in in the Midland, Odessa area. You are
so damn lucky.
A double screen, 2 screens, mind you, not 1, but 2 screens. Yeah,
it'd be nice to have like 5 or 6 screens in a drive-in.
Wait, 3 screens,
and you sit way in the back and you get to switch channels. Say, oh, you're watching something. I don't like that. Quick, switch over here. Switch over here.
3 screens. 3. I can't. I haven't gone to it, to be honest.
M. Chav has run out. His car was one of them. His battery would die when they. Yeah, and they charge you, and they charge you for jumper cables. Yeah. And so the concessions. It was always fun. It's the guy that would go to the concession stand. You'd send them with never enough money and say, I want 10 popcorns and 10 hot dogs and this and that and this and that. And there was always a line at the concession stand. God. Luckily, there was always sound at the concession stand, at least the Tropicare drive-in, because you'd be standing in line watching see, that's the nice part about the drive-in. Mm-hmm. The nice thing about the drive-in is you're standing in line waiting for a line of people to get for your concessions. You're watching the movie and you're hearing the movie. I mean, what could be more pleasant than that? Nowadays, I mean, you go to you go to the theater. You got to miss. Well, which 5 minutes of the movie did I miss?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and there's 12 screens. There's no way they could hype the video. I mean, the audio in.
Yeah. But we no longer have drive-ins. Our drive-in, it was a flea market for a while during the days, and then weekends it was a drive-in, and then later it just was a flea market all the time. They tore it down. Now there's a Best Buy, a Modern Furniture, and a Publix, I think,
and a parking lot.
Good evening, Mark. Yep. Swing sets and playground until dark. Yep.
Hey, Mark. I also saw Russ sneak in there, by the way.
Oh, nice.
Not only did he sneak in, but he snuck in many times at the drive-in.
That's right. It's a beautiful thing. No, the drive-ins were just classic. Drive-ins were something else. And it's a shame I didn't get the drive-in as often, because I'll tell you, I think I was about 18 or 20 when the drive-in closed down. So I only had a drive-in available to me for about 3 or 4 years of driving. I was from 16,
Yeah, we had, I want to say it was a Bel Air, and then it went kaput, like Russ was saying. And then there was, 4, 5, 6, 10 years, maybe 15 years. And then they brought one back. And that one I have gone to. They brought one back between both of the cities. And then there's this other one. I think there's even a synergy. And I think that's a result of COVID. The synergy theaters decided, I guess, to do a drive-in, and it makes total sense.
Here's a bit of nostalgia for you. Okay, do you remember? Because so let's do. I'll do two questions. First one is, do you remember when nachos first came to theaters? Do you remember when? What were your early theater concession memories? It was hot dogs, popcorn, drinks. I don't know. Goobers and Raisinets. Goobers and Raisinets, and that's it.
Yeah. Raisinets. I was in Chicago, but I think we had Italian sausage too for some reason.
Wow. Then later, now it's like they have a whole glass case with 200 different pieces of chocolate in there and stuff. My favorite's the Bunch of Crunch or the
all
Goobers.
For just $5 each.
Yeah, all for just only $5 each. 3 different sizes, and it's so funny because it's like movie theater popcorn. Speaking of a movie with movie theater popcorn in it, The Naked Gun. Do you remember? I think it was The Naked Gun 2.5. Leslie Nielsen. Yes. Leslie Nielsen comes in, and he's holding this tub of popcorn like this big, and it's not an exaggeration. In some theaters, the popcorn is like huge.
I remember the phone. I remember this big old huge phone, and this Nazi guy walking up to it and picks it up, and it's this big old huge phone.
Oh, that's Top Secret. Yep.
Oh, okay. Well, I get them all mixed up.
Top Secret, but that's a movie from the 70s and 80s. But I'll tell you, Mark says he can still smell the concession stand at the drive-in.
Right.
But here's the second question for you.
Still got popcorn.
My mind went blank. Oh yeah. Do you remember? And this is at about the time. Let me see. Remember how I said every Star Wars movie they hiked up the price? Well, I believe Star Wars. It was either, it was probably the Return of the Jedi where they hiked it up to $6. But do you remember when the movies were maybe $5 or $6? Then all of a sudden, all the small movie theaters that were going out of business started becoming dollar theaters.
Yes, I do. We had them here, and then
because originally they were all dollar theaters, and then later they kept on going up and up and up and up to the point where they would show movies maybe a month old or second run movies, and
they would go to $1.50. They kind of did that too.
Yeah. And I would love those dollar theater. I saw Friday the 13th in a dollar theater. I hated that movie. I don't like horrors. Not a fan. But anyway.
Talking about horror movie, Attack of the Body Snatchers, I can't remember the
Invasion of the Body Snatchers or Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Which one?
No, wait. Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Went and saw that with a friend. That was probably one of the only horror movies that I really liked. I remember
Donald Sutherland just
in the mall.
Doesn't make bad movies.
Mall, yeah. People getting disemboweled and stuff. Anyway, I think that was that one. But then, what you said was Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Oh my goodness!
Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
I remember going and seeing Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, and then I went the next day to where I used to work, my first job at a Rustler's Steakhouse, and I had a salad with some tomatoes. Walked outside, and I guess those tomatoes were bad, and so I associate Attack of the Killer Tomatoes with bad tomatoes, and probably don't eat tomatoes because of that very reason. I mean, I don't know. To me, in my mind, I'll eat tomatoes.
It could have been worse. You could have been watching Class of Nukem High. There was another one. The Toxic Avenger. That was
Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Some of those B movies they're just cult classics. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how many of you guys have seen The Toxic Avenger. It was just one of those movies where, you know, a bunch of kids running over people on purpose. These two bad kids, and then this one guy gets dumped in a bunch of slime, and he's got this half eyeball. He's kind of cute, but he's this deformed face, and it was great. And he's the hero.
So, do you remember one scene from Attack of the Killer Tomatoes?
Only a huge, large tomato. I mean,
Okay.
the big tomatoes. You know,
one scene that I remember, they're around the campfire, they're eating. I can't remember what they're eating, and the one guy that's dressed up like a tomato goes, "Got any ketchup?" Oh, it was over for him.
Yeah. Mark saw Creature from the Black Lagoon, and it came from outer space in 3D of local theater for $1.50 person. And that brings us to 3D theaters. I mean, were you around? Did you have the pleasure of going to see a red and blue 3D movie?
Not back then. Recently being within the last 10 years, maybe. Yes.
I actually saw the Blob in 3D. In the old, you know, basically the 3D that really screws up your eyes so bad. Because I mean, I'm telling you, I'm not kidding. Those glasses, you put them on for the whole theater, and you take off your glasses, and it'll take you practically, it feels like a day to recover, because you close one eye, everything's red. You close the other eye, everything's blue, because the red eye sees nothing but blue. Blue eye sees nothing but red. You know, oh my God. Oh, it's just.
I do have a little story, kind of, and it wasn't back then, but I took my granddaughter to Disney, and there was a movie, I don't remember, but it was a 3D movie. And it's the first time she'd ever seen a 3D movie, and she put the glasses on. Poor kid came unglued. It was like a lion went like that, and she totally lost it. She started crying, and you know, that's how realistic they have become. You know.
Yeah, Dave was just saying that the Blob was made in. I don't know what year it was made. I know it wasn't an original. I know it certainly wasn't an original one. It was one of those special. Well, it was a 3D, and I was young, but
58 and 88.
58 and 88?
Yeah.
Then it had to be 88 when I saw it. But
the Blob 88 American.
Oh, no. But I saw the original Blob in 3D. No, was it? No, it might have been the second one. I'm drawing a blank.
Hey, it all blends together, doesn't it?
Beware of the Blob, it bleeps and creeps and crawls across the floor under the door. Do. Be careful of the Blob. Beware of the Blob. Oh man, great stuff. It was black and white, Mark. It was black and white. Well, okay. It was blue and red.
Blue and red.
Okay, it was blue and red. And I put the glasses on, and it was black and white. Is that any better? It was the 3D one, you know, and it was a special viewing. It wasn't anything like you know, but this was at the time when I don't know if it was just bringing back some movies from the 50s or something, but this is well before polarized lenses. Oh God, I love polarized lenses.
Yes.
And even those, no, I do and I don't. I love the fact that if you get some really, really good polarized lenses in a good 3D theater, you have a wonderful experience. But I don't know about you guys. I get a headache half the time I put on those stupid polarized glasses. Yeah, Steve McQueen was the star. Yes. That is correct. You are correct, sir. And then,
so then that's the 58 one, right?
That's the 58 one. It was again, it was reshown or stuff, but no, but the 58 one was. See, now I'm a little confused, and my memory is going because the 58 one Was it filmed in 3D?
Well, back then, didn't they have some stuff in 3D?
They did, but I don't think that one was 3D. But it was. I mean, I saw a blob in 3D, and it was black and white, and I could swear that I seen that it was Steve McQueen. But well, I could swear, but I can't. I won't bet. I wouldn't bet my life on it because I've seen both versions of the blob a few times. So for all I know, I'm just it's all just meshing in there. But anyway, I think we covered pretty much everything. What can you think of anything else that we're missing?
I want to revisit something.
Yeah.
Tab got discontinued in 2020. I want to know when anybody, and maybe this is why it was discontinued, last had a tab.
I got to tell you, I don't know. I mean, I think I remember seeing a tab about 4 or 5 years ago at a Publix or at one of these little small rinky-dink supermarkets, But I mean, being a Diet Coke guy, I don't look for anything. I see Diet Coke, and next to it, I see the Coke Zero and the regular Coke, and that's all I ever see.
Yeah,
occasionally looking for the Diet Coke, I run into the Pepsi, the caffeine-free Pepsi, and the caffeine-free Diet Coke, which I can't stand. Tastes like crap.
Yeah, well, that's the same way I felt about Tab. It just tasted like saccharin to me, and that was
horrible.
End of story.
I feel the same way about Coke Zero because I enjoy aspartame so much, or I'm so used to the taste, that the Splenda in Coke Zero is it's horrible. And what's the other one? Let me see. Coke Zero. Then let me see. One has Splenda, one has aspartame, one has saccharin. Yeah, I guess those are the only three big ones.
And one has sugar or high.
And one has sugar.
Or whatever.
Yeah, sucrose. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Fresca.
I still have Fresca. I have Fresca in the refrigerator and drink it on a regular basis.
I'm a ginger ale fan. When I don't have, for me, it's either other than Diet Coke, and it's very rare that I drink anything other than Diet Coke.
Yeah.
When I was at the property, it was 98 degrees. You guys saw me in my Facebook post. I must have gone through 10 Gatorades in the span of an hour. I don't get it. I don't get a desire for Diet Coke when I'm profusely sweating and stuff. It's either water or Gatorade. And other than that, on occasion I'll drink an iced tea. But I mean, there's our segue for the night because it's nothing else really does it for me.
Mark wants to bring back cyclamates as an artificial sweetener. 30 to 50 times sweeter than sucrose, which is table sugar.
Yeah.
Making it the least potent of the commercial used artificial sweeteners.
Yeah. But I'll tell you now. So, as far as theaters have come along, like I was mentioning earlier, there is so much of a proliferation between YouTube and the incredible amount of availability, a library of movies now available to you, added on to all our past, because we have our generation and on and on and on. Obviously, there's never enough time to watch everything, but it's gotten to the point that, honestly, I don't know about you, but I'm desensitized to most of it, and that's one of the biggest issues that I'm struggling with in my, now I'm 55, in my latter years, if you will.
The old guys in their 50s and 60s.
One of the things that I struggle with is when you're younger, everything's new and everything's exciting, and then as long as you don't get stuck in a rut, as long as you leave your mind open to new things, when you're older, you can still experience a lot of that. But it's gotten to the point now that and I say we, all of us, know so much that very few things, and the more you know, not to get too philosophical, but the more you know.
And now we continue with the philosophical part of our program.
There you go. The more you know, the more you can extrapolate, and the less is new, truly new, and surprising you. Like, okay, for instance, I know CNC, I know woodworking, I know construction. So you put those things together, and there's not really many things that you can build that I'll go, oh, that's so cool. I've never seen anything like that. I've seen everything like that.
Yeah.
And what I haven't seen like that, I could pretty much come up with in my mind. So it's very rare, that something, fresh comes in. So, you just sit back and you got to enjoy life as best you can and create stuff on your own as best you can. But it's difficult because, honestly, I don't know about you, but maybe that's what getting old is just being bored with life.
I think
and I don't want to say that because I'll never be bored with life.
A lot of reminiscing. That's what getting old is.
Well, yeah, that's why I enjoy the show so much, is because we can relive certain portions. I mean, like, right now I've relived numerous things in the theater realm. The other day we were talking about computers, and I think about it all the time lately. Okay, segue. I've been watching a lot of Steve Wozniak on YouTube. I'm a huge, huge fan of the Woz, and then because I'm probably 14 or 15 years his younger, but were not for the grace of God, I'd probably be in a similar position. I'm the nerd who enjoys the electronics, who enjoys building things, who can easily get used by, or not used, but befriended by the
salesperson. But you're also a
salesperson. I am now.
Yeah.
I am now from years of, but I'm still not that person. I'm doing it because I have to, not because it's inherent in me.
And I'm not doing it because I don't have to.
Yeah, well, yeah. So, but what I'm getting at is, Woz is what every time he talks about the first days of Apple, and every time he starts talking about, and I've watched he says the same thing over and over, and every time I enjoy it, because he's talking about the early days. He's talking about building the Apple One before Jobs was even in the picture, and building the Apple II, and I connect the dots, and I owned an Apple II Revision Zero board. I mean, computer. Revision Zero board. They had 8 or 9 revisions, and then they went to the 2 Plus, the 2E, the 2GS, all those other 2s. But the Apple II itself, I had one of the first boards. God, I wish I would have kept that. Part of my love of electronics is because I came up with, I filled every single slot, every single one of the slots that you had on that board. And I loved expansion slots. I had a speech synthesizer that was a Texas Instruments chip that sounded exactly like Stephen Hawking because it's the same chip. I mean, so many different things. Those days, those early days, reminiscing about with my friends in front of my Apple II, where 4 or 5 of us spent the entire evening trying to solve Adventureland, the text base, go west, go east. That was just remembering those times, and I do it quite often. So I know what you're talking about. I mean, that's what this whole show is all about, is just reminiscing.
Two
But
old guys in their 50s and 60s reminiscing about the 70s and 80s.
yep. And Dave, I'll see what I can do about. I don't know. Maybe I might. I might eventually switch it to a weekday or something at an earlier time or something like that. I mean, this is a nice time slot, but I don't want to go earlier because well, I got my other show, but I could always change that. But then I don't want. But then you got Al is on Russ's show, so I don't want to conflict with Russ's show either, with Russ Clarity. Um, but yeah, I have been considering a change in time slot and stuff, and eventually, and I say this practically every show, eventually I'll get those podcasts up on the audio podcast. But I hope you guys have enjoyed the show. So we'll leave you guys there. A little longer than usual, but always nostalgic. So, folks, from two old guys in their 50s and 60s talking
And I
about the
got that in there.
70s and 80s. Oh, and next week is I had it up here a second ago. There we go. Next week, next week is going to be sci-fi movies from the 70s and 80s. So we'll talk about the Blob and well, that's not from the 50s, but we'll talk about the sci-fi movies, the movies from the 70s and 80s.
Does that include series too?
I believe. Well, I don't want to. I see. Here's the thing. In the future, we're going to be talking about Star Trek versus Star Wars. We're going to be talking about. Let's see what other ones. Yeah, there's a lot of other things, but no. Yeah. See you later, Aussie man. So yeah, there's no reason we can't throw in a little bit. I don't want to talk about the mainstream ones like Star Trek. We'll do that. We'll leave a whole chapter for that.
Plenty more.
I wouldn't mind throwing in a little bit of Buck Rogers from the 24th century with super hot Aaron Gray.
Woohoo!
Those days were great. And Twiggy, beady beady beady. So yeah, I'll never forget the movie, and then the series thereafter. So, folks, you guys have a wonderful, wonderful week, and I'll see y'all next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Live long and prosper.